You know, we hear all the time about the power that judges have, but who's keeping that power in check? In this explainer, we're going to pull back the curtain on Missouri's really fascinating system for judicial accountability. And look, this isn't just some abstract idea. Judges make decisions that can literally change the course of your life. So when someone has that kind of authority, where does the oversight come from? I mean, really, who judges the judges? Well, the answer in Missouri isn't some single watchdog. It's way more complex. It's a whole multi-layered system. You can think of it as an entire ecosystem of checks and balances, all designed to make sure things are fair and honest without getting in the way of judges doing their job. Let's break down how it all works. Accountability actually starts way before a judge even puts on the robe. The very first check on their power is the selection process itself, how someone gets to the bench in the first place. That's a critical part of the whole system. So in many parts of the state, judges are chosen through something called the Missouri Plan, which is this model designed to put merit above politics. It starts with a commission made up of judges, lawyers, and just regular citizens who vet every single applicant. After public interviews and background checks, they send 3 finalists to the governor, who makes the final call. But it's not over then. After a year, that new judge has to face you, the voters. And here's where it gets really interesting. Missouri actually has 2 totally different systems. The Missouri Plan is used for the state's highest courts and the biggest metro areas. But in most of the other counties, it's a completely different story. Judges there run in partisan elections with a party label next to their name, just like any other politician. So you've got 2 very different paths to the exact same powerful job. Okay, so once a judge is on the bench, the oversight doesn't just stop. The next layer in this ecosystem is a formal performance review process. Think of it like a regular, data-driven report card on how they're doing their job. And who's doing the reviewing? It's not other active judges grading their buddies. It's an independent committee. And notice the balance here. You've got lawyers who get the legal system, citizens who represent the public's view, and a retired judge who brings that real-world experience. The whole structure is built to be impartial. So what are they actually looking for? This table shows it perfectly. This isn't about vague feelings. They measure specific things using actual data. Things like integrity. That's measured by anonymous surveys from people who were right there in the courtroom. Legal ability, they check how often their decisions get overturned by higher courts. And administrative skill, they look at the hard numbers like how fast a judge is moving cases through the system. And the scale of this whole thing is just massive. Every time they do these evaluations, more than 20,000 surveys get sent out to attorneys and jurors all across the state. So this isn't some tiny sample size. It's a huge effort to get a really clear, data-backed picture of how a judge is performing. Okay, but what happens when performance isn't just poor? What if a judge's conduct actually crosses an ethical line? Well, this is where the ecosystem's fail-safe kicks in, the formal disciplinary process. Meet the CRRD. This is the official body that's tasked with investigating complaints against any judge in Missouri. Their power is total. It covers every single level of the courts. If there's an allegation of misconduct, this is where it lands. The process is really thorough. At first, it's confidential, and that's to protect judges from baseless claims. Literally anyone can file a complaint. It gets screened, and if it looks like there's something to it, a full investigation begins. If that investigation finds probable cause, the whole process becomes public, and it can go all the way up to the Missouri Supreme Court for a final decision. And the consequences? They are serious. We're talking anything from a private written warning for something minor, all the way to a public reprimand, suspension, or, in the absolute worst cases, being forced to retire or being removed from the bench entirely. So the system definitely has real teeth to enforce the rules. And now, we get to the final and maybe the most powerful layer of accountability. Because after all the commissions and the reviews and the disciplinary bodies, the ultimate power comes right back to the people, right back to you. If you live in an area that uses the Missouri Plan, this is the exact question you'll see on your ballot. See, it's not a contest between 2 people. It's a simple, direct yes or no vote on whether that judge has earned the right to keep their job. And this is the moment where everything we've talked about connects. This isn't a vote based on a hunch or a name you recognize. All that performance review data, those thousands of surveys and statistics, is made public for one reason: to help you make your decision. The whole system is designed for an informed voter. So let's look at a real-world example of this in action. On one hand, you've got Judge A. excellent reviews, easily retained. But then, look at Judge B. After reports of being disrespectful in the courtroom and having a huge case backlog, the review committee actually recommended do not retain. And that recommendation was published for every voter to see. And this chart just brilliantly shows the impact. Historically, judges get retained almost all the time, over 98% of the time. But Judge B, with that public negative review, they only got 56% of the vote. That's a huge drop. And it proves that when voters get clear data on performance, they absolutely use it to hold judges accountable. So how do you become one of those informed voters? Well, the information is all right there for you. You can read the full performance evaluations online, you can look up a judge's case history on case.net, and you can even dig into system-wide statistics. This toolkit really empowers every single citizen to be a part of that accountability ecosystem. And here it is, the whole thing laid out. The CRD handles the ethics. The appellate courts check for legal mistakes. The state courts administrator watches for efficiency. But that last line, public confidence, that's you. The voters are the final, crucial piece of this entire puzzle. So, at the end of the day, no single person or group gets to judge the judges. It's the whole network, a system where all these different bodies, and the public itself, have a role to play. It's a design that tries to protect two really important things at once: the independence of our courts and our trust in them. Which brings us right back to the beginning. This entire ecosystem, with all its checks and balances, it only really works if citizens engage with it. The tools are there. The information is public. The only question left is, will you use them?